everyone, my name is Lorena. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you 3 tips for combating a picky eater. I want to share with you some tips that I use for my second daughter Penelope, from really when she started to eat and what we do now to help her and encourage her to eat different types of food, nutritious food. And so let's get started. My experience with my second daughter was very different than it was with my first. My first was an angel and still is in terms of eating. She's so good at eating her vegetables. We didn't have any issues with her. However, with my second one, I struggled with her and I was going down a black rabbit hole with her, not implementing good habits and letting her be more picky and not really wanting to eat. And I really had to stop myself and focus on these 3 tips that really helped me and reset her and reset us and really helped her to be a better eater. So before we get started, I want to mention the background noise is actually the sound machine for Penelope. She's taking a nap and she sleeps with the sound machine. She's downstairs. She always takes her nap downstairs, so that's what you're listening to. But anyways, moving forward, let me give you a little bit of background on how we started to feed her. You know, when you go to the pediatric about the 4-month mark, they tell you that your baby is close to eating solid foods, and they tell you what are the cues, that they're able to sit up straight, that they're able to have a strong neck, and this is fundamental for them to be able to have a good position and good airflow for their food. And so all of those things means that your baby is most likely ready to try some food. And Penelope satisfied that criteria, as well as having the craving to taste food. Very early on, earlier than Juliet, actually, we gave her food to taste and sweets, and I think that was a mistake on our part. And by that I mean we were giving her very savory food and very sweet things to taste, whereas with Juliet we were giving her taste of citrus and more simple things. So if I could redo it again, I would give her a taste of more simple foods versus a very complex taste, which is what we did with Penelope. But so she was about 5 months and 2 weeks when we decided to introduce avocado, and she had a difficult time with it. It's very normal, but at the same time we noticed that with her, she liked to swallow more than to chew things. So my number 1 tip for this is to actually stop the process and wait for them to forget, and maybe a week or more, then you can go ahead and reintroduce solids and see if they have a different approach, if this time maybe they are able to assimilate the chewing a little bit better. And that's exactly what we did. Wait a couple of weeks to hit that 6-month mark to try it again. And by the time we did wait, she was a lot more ready. She was showing signs that she wanted to chew and that she understood the concept of chewing. And that was a lot more beneficial than having the route of just giving her purees, because then she would have been very used to just the swallowing and not the chewing. And it's hard for their brain to kind of reset, at least from what I read. So it's best to stop the process, wait about a week or 2, and then reintroduce and see if they're able to grasp the concept of chewing a little bit better. And so my tip number 2 is to not get desperate, to really just stay focused to what you really want to feed them. Don't go desperate looking for things to supplement because they are not eating. I was afraid of her not eating enough, and she was still having my breast milk, but I still wanted her to make sure that she was having more than just my breast milk. So I started to pull other things from the refrigerator that were things that were not being served to Juliet, or even for dinner where we were sitting all together, and those were things that we were not eating. She was kind of getting like special items, or at the end, you know, I wanted to compensate with a cup of milk to make sure that she was full. But I found this to be a big mistake, because I feel like they know, they're very, very smart, and they know that if they reject whatever they're given and they don't want to eat that, we're just going to be offering and offering and offering, and eventually they're going to get exactly what they want, whether it's the milk or whether if it's something sweet. You know, it's their favorite food, and that's just not going to break the habit of trying other foods. And so I would just recommend to not get desperate and really hold your ground. Make sure that they're really trying the item, repeat the item. It takes about 7 times for them to actually like something. After 7 tastes is when they get the kind of the taste for it. And so don't give up Penelope never liked raspberries at the beginning, and then a month after she was loving raspberries. She had a phase where she would like something and then the next day she wouldn't, and I just really stuck to giving her what we were eating to make sure that she didn't feel like she can get away with eating something else later, and that really helped. For example, in the nighttime where I thought those nights where she didn't eat enough, she would wake up very hungry and would want to eat her bowl of oatmeal and her bowl of fruits, and then she was eating, right? She kind of got the memo, like dinner is dinner, and if I don't finish my dinner I'm gonna be really hungry, and then she has to wait for breakfast, and that's what was happening, and that's how she started to eat a lot better. And my number 3 tip is to eat what we're eating. That helps a lot, especially if you want them to eat vegetables, if you want them to eat meat. If you are a meat eater, if you're a vegetable eater, your kid is going to see that and it's going to want to eat that by example. You can't expect your child to have broccoli, to have a salad, and you're eating fries and a burger, right? It's not going to work out like that. So in our household, it is very much whatever we eat, they eat. And so we try to incorporate veggies. We try to make a salad once in a while. So they are used to those tastes. So they do see us eating those things. If I make meat with beans and tortillas, like that's exactly what they're eating as well. I just modify it to make it simple for them. Like I separate, for example, Penelope, I would say ground beef, and then I separate the beans, I separate the tomatoes, and I cut a little strips of tortillas so that she's able to try all of it, and then she's able to eat it as she please in a more simple form. And as they get older, you can start making it a little bit more complex, but again, give her the exact same ingredients as you are eating. We are not perfect whatsoever. We do allow for sweets, we do have treats, we don't glorify them or make them special or call them desserts. We just have them a part of our meal so that they aren't anxious and waiting for that, as in that is a reward. One extra bonus tip that I don't know if it's true or not was to not start with a solid food that is sweet, meaning fruits. For Juliet, we did exactly that. We introduced to a lot of vegetables. I think sweet potato, of course, is sweet, but we did not give Juliet any fruit. From vegetables, we moved on to egg and chicken and ground meat versus the fruit, and then later on slowly started introducing fruit, and that works very, very well. If anything, I would say she's not obsessed with sweets. Of course she likes it. Of course she loves ice cream and she wants to have a cone of ice cream, but if I say this is a big cone, we're only going to eat this much, she's totally okay with just eating that portion. She knows that that's healthy for her and that that's enough for her body, and that makes me really happy. For Penelope, unfortunately, because we have a big sister who we do give treats, we decided to give her fruits as one of her first foods, and I think she got used to the taste of sweets, and so then she was expecting sweets, or she was expecting fruits. So I don't know if in general Penelope is more of a sweet and very savory person and likes taste versus very bland foods, whereas Juliet was perfectly okay with very bland foods. Or we made the mistake of introducing too many tasteful foods at the beginning. So if I can give you advice, would be to be on the safe side, maybe start that way like we did for Juliet, and then slowly add in those sweets and those savory items. It's completely up to you, but at least those 3 tips of if your child is not ready to chew, wait for them to be able to chew so that they're able to reset their muscle memory. And then if you already started your feeding journey and you went more towards the parade and now you decided to want to change the BLW, then use that technique, wait a few days, let them reset their muscle memory so that when they go back and you offer them something more chewy and more solid, they're able to chew it and just pick that up more naturally. And then again, don't get desperate. They are gonna come around and eat the foods that you are offering them. Trust me, with Penelope, we've had positive results. She's a variety of foods. She is still a little bit picky on when she wants to eat first, but that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, she is eating vegetables, she is eating fruit, she's eating her proteins, and just very diverse foods. And so that's ideally what I wanted, and again, what we eat is what she eats. So I hope these tips help you with feeding your baby. I know it's kind of like a negative word when we say picky eaters, and it kind of boxes them into that. So I would recommend not to use that word, that your child is a picky eater. Instead, your child is just learning, discovering all kinds of food and textures, and that, you know, encourages your child as well to hear them with a positive tone. But so I hope these tips were helpful to you, and if it was, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you can subscribe to my channel as well, that would help my channel grow. I'll see you next time. Bye.